Welcome to the From Frantic to Free podcast. And today I have on the show my wonderful peer coach, Krystle Perez. She is a transformational women's coach, and she really specializes in helping those moms because there are a lot of struggles that we moms have, especially as moms of little people. And today we want to explore self care as it relates to parenting, and not just that, but just being a woman in general. So I want to engage in conversation with Krystle because I am also a transformational women's coach, specializing in life coaching and health coaching. And I think Krystle and I were just a dynamic duo. Welcome,
Yes.
Krystle.
Hey, I love being on this show. I love talking to you. So I think this is just like a fun little excuse to hang out. But yes,
Exactly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
So, Krystle, what's on your mind today?
Self-care, mindfulness, and
Oh,
just me time is very much on my mind.
excellent. Excellent. I love it. So, Krystle, I don't know if you remember the last time we spoke, we talked about a lot of topics that fall under the self care realm. And one of them that I want to touch on with you because it really resonated with me is you got into sharing ideas on ways that our spouses and partners can partner with us to lighten our load. Because, we were kind of laughing but serious at the same time that when we go to the doctor's office, our husband may be there with us to help fill out paperwork, but they're asking us, oh, what do I put here on this line? What's the
Right.
doctor's name? Or, what's the school teacher's name? And it's really boils down to it not feeling like help. So let's pick up from there.
Okay, no, that's perfect. Yes, we've all been there, or we've had situations where our partner didn't come to doctor's appointments, and it is just us and us finding time out of our work schedule to do that. Or it's and I think sometimes what we need to do is allow our partners to come inside that world in our minds, whether it's in our minds or just have that conversation really, because like I said with you, it's about somehow like when we allow our partners to have that information, whether it's a shared Google Calendar, which is what I do with my husband, is like each child has their own calendar, and we store doctor appointments, dentist appointments, like teacher conferences, any important dates, like play dates, birthday parties, um, anything really we throw in there, like whatever we can throw in there, we throw in there, and it becomes our like personal database for that child. So it becomes one of those things like, oh yeah, we went to, you know, um, like when was his last dentist appointment? And then, my husband could look it up himself under my child's name, and it's like so and so's dentist appointment. And it's there with the location of the dentist, the telephone number, and the name of the dentist. And so when we share those responsibilities, that takes that mental, like that part of that mental load off of us, because then
Right.
it empowers our partners to be involved. And, sometimes we have good partners and sometimes we don't have good partners. But people who want to be involved and want to take on that load feel empowered if we allow them, if we have the right tools for it. And also, it does sometimes happens where, no one taught us, like no one taught women, it's like, oh, how to do all the things that we do. We just
Right.
had to stumble upon it, right? But and then then our partners are like demanding all the answers all at once, and you're like, well, just figure it out. I figured it out. Like that's always my go-to with my husband is like, figure it out. But sometimes it'd be nicer to be
So
a kinder
mean,
situation.
Krystle.
I know. I'm like, it's all there, just find something somewhere, like, but yeah.
I
So
think that was a big tip there, a big nugget that you dropped on us. So let's explore that a bit. That Google Calendar. I want to
right.
visualize it. So you have a different calendar for each child. And so when you
Yes.
pull up your calendar, do you have to go into this calendar and then come out of that and go into the other, or is it just you see it all together in one space?
Oh, okay. So that's a great question. So through like, like my email, my Gmail account, my personal one,
Mhm.
um there's a section where you can add calendars. And so I just create like a different calendar for like per child, and then, color code it, and then share that calendar with my husband with his Gmail account. And so he can get access to like add appointments or write information in there. And so like so forth and so forth. And then since everyone is color coded, it fits all in one calendar. So whenever my husband picks up, like opens his Google Calendar, because I've shared my calendar with him, or like our child's calendar, then that color coded like appointments pop up all over it. So it's just kind of like, okay, it's like just it looks like another appointment, just in different color. And that's specifically for like baby one, baby two. And so, yeah,
Oh,
so it's all in one place, and it's nice. And if like you're the person who needs to like print things out, you can print it out. That you can print out a weekly schedule of it, and then it's just it's really convenient. It
wow.
helps kind of bring it more outside of like the traditional handwritten calendar that we put like on the wall,
Mhm.
and it just kind of you can look it up on your phone.
So if you say, hubby, can you take our daughter to the doctor? Is he
Hmm.
able to look at that calendar and it tells him everything he needs to know, like the location and the time, or any notes? Like, make sure you bring her a note from the teacher. Like, is that what you do? You make it that detailed?
Yes. Like if yeah, if I'm physically not there, and if I'm not going to do it, then and my husband actually wants to do that, because sometimes, like sometimes my husband's like, I don't know how to like do that without you, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, within like the description part of it, or the notes, you can put like, the doctor, the location, the time, right? And then you sometimes I would put questions when they were really little, when my kids were really little. I put questions like,
Mhm.
is it normal that they don't sleep at all at night? Like, is this,
Okay.
and then it's just a list of questions. And then also it's kind of like, oh, well, let's touch base on when like the next flu shot is, or something like that. Like, what vaccines do they need now? Or, you know, and so it gives them literally like a you pull it up and you click on the appointment, and all that detail pops up, and then it's kind of like, okay, great. And then he can come into that appointment, edit it so that information stays there for the next appointment, or stays there indefinitely until we delete it.
I love this, Krystle, because the visual that I'm getting is that your husband, he pretty much has your brain on paper. Like the questions
Yeah,
you would have asked the doctor, they're right there. So it's like foolproof, it sounds like.
right, right,
I
right.
love that. So, ladies,
Yeah.
make sure you take that note and start doing that, the Google Calendar. And Krystle, I think it would be a great idea the next time we do one of these collaborations. Maybe you could share your screen and show,
Oh yeah. And like how
show
to
the
set that
ladies.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing and very helpful. Yay.
Yeah. I think
So,
we'll
mom
definitely
tip
need
number
that.
one, and this could work not just for moms, but for anybody, right?
Anyone. It just like, when you want to like bring your, just maybe, yeah, just more organization. Maybe you have, your current job, maybe you have like your other business, then you can merge those two calendars all in the same thing. Um,
Right, right.
or, just anytime you need a new calendar or just more appointments, because our
Yeah,
calendars fill up.
Love it. So, Krystle, let's talk more about self-care, our favorite topic. So, what are
Yes.
some suggestions or things that you would like for women to know about? I know we talk a lot about emotional eating. Maybe we could explore that topic.
Yes, this is one of the topics that I am very fluent in. I I think people say that like they identify as emotional eaters, and I am definitely one of them. I eat excessively when I'm happy, sad, mad. Um, just I eat anyways. It's just one of those things where like emotion is tied so much to my eating, whether it's like happy or sad. And like we had talked about, because I'm a mom, right? This could be anyone really. Like I'm really busy in the day. So
Mhm.
at nighttime, for me, when my kids are asleep, like that's my time. That's my me time. And to be productive in that
Time.
me time, that is me. That is literally me. I don't know, like watching TV. It's like I'm single all over again. No one's talking to me. Like I'm watching TV, I'm on my phone. I can do anything.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time it ended up me having like a meal, but it was late. It was like past 9, which at
Mm,
that point your body is like it's not going to process it um or metabolize it properly, because right now you're eating, and then you're gonna go to sleep, and then you're not really active, right? And
mhm.
so you can't burn all of those calories that you ate properly. Your body
Right.
is just gonna be like, okay, well, you're gonna go into hibernation mode anyways to go to sleep for like 8 hours, hopefully. So then we're just gonna store um, all this fat. Um, so I had to realize that I had to stop that habit of eating so late. And what I found was really beneficial was doing self-care. And it doesn't have to be this huge elaborate thing of, I don't like, you don't have to do a sound bath, or um like yoga. I mean, even though you can do that, but you can make it as simple as like doing your skincare routine, doing a little extra, like maybe a face mask at night, and just something so that you still feel good, but feeling good doesn't tie into eating, which
Right.
was which was one of those things where I just felt like, well, this is my time. I didn't get a good meal. Like you feel so rushed in the day and your like everyday life. And so for me, that time between like 8:30 and let's say like 11 was a time where I just kind of I wanted I wanted to eat, because I don't eat alone. You know, I don't get to like necessarily eat the things I want to eat because I'm trying to make healthy choices for my kids so that they see us making healthy choices. But
Mhm.
in reality, you want to eat like something that's not that great. So I would order junk food and get it delivered, or go and buy it, and then I would have McDonald's or whatever, and then but like my kids would have had like chicken and vegetables and rice or something, and I would sit there and I'd eat that with them. But then again, when you're eating with, like, my kids are so small, but when you eat with kids, they're not really eating. They're messing around most of the time, and like food isn't always getting into their mouth. It's on the floor 90% of the time. And then you're just kind of like, well, I can't really enjoy myself. So I used to take that time between 8:30 and 11 to enjoy my meal, which there is self-care in eating mindfully. But that means your screen goes away. That means you turn off the television. That means you put your phone away. That means you take longer to eat that, you
Mhm.
know? Um, if you want to start mindfully with food, you don't get such a big meal. You eat really slowly, and mindfully is kind of, you really think about what you're tasting, or try to see if you can taste different spices that if you cooked it, like see if you can taste the salt you put in there, the pepper, or the like maybe you put soy sauce in something, or you put honey or lemon in it. And then it's an interesting, fun way to kind of use food to be present in this moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, that's a great way.
Instead
I
of
think that's a
just
nice, great way to
instead of just
start.
gobbling it all down, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. With like your screen in front of you and you're watching this like, this whatever film or whatever TV show, which doesn't really mean anything. It's just something that's noise in the background. And I've caught myself doing that too, where it's like I've watched this show 1,000 times, but there's that comforting part of it, watching the same thing over and over because you already know what's going to happen, and it's just kind of white noise in the background. So for me, that white noise I thought was helpful because it wasn't making me think about how stressful I was, but then it wasn't allowing me to relax because like all your senses are still doing something, you know, but if you're really present in that moment and being mindful, let's say with mindful eating, then you sit back and you appreciate the food you're eating. You
Mhm.
appreciate this time alone because you're truly present and taking advantage of it. When in real reality, and you just kind of absorb it more when
Yeah.
you're in the moment.
Krystle, a lot of what you just shared, it's making me think about, like you talked about how we're rushing through the day. We're busy, busy, busy. We're never taking that time to sit down and just relax and enjoy a meal mindfully. And you talked about stress. So I think it's really important to reduce the stress in our lives is we got to get a grasp on our time management, and we also have
Yeah,
to get a grasp on organization, because you're going to be stressed if you're not managing your time well. That's gonna you don't know what's going on. You're
right,
just like, oh, I forgot I had this appointment because you didn't calendar it, or you're over committing yourself to stuff. And the organization piece, I can't imagine sitting down and having a mindful meal in a disorganized environment. That's
right.
creating stress. So, what are some ways that we can help women with that time management piece and like the organization piece?
I think we really need to assess our days. Like, probably the first step is definitely to list out what we do on an everyday basis from like just the time you wake up, the time kids need to go to school, the time kids need to be picked up from school, the like how long you work in the day and what time breakfast, lunch, and dinner are,
Mm-hmm.
and what time you have to start getting kids ready for your bedtime and all of that stuff. And so you really need to look at your whole calendar and put times on it, because first, once you finally have it on paper, then you can move things around, and then you can find out that you have moments, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, where there's nothing but you fill it with, I don't know what you fill it off. You might not even know that you have like 5 or 10 minutes in your day where you can fit in just sitting in silence, which is I find is like one of the hardest things for me because um my mind moves like a million miles an hour, and for me to sit still it's one of the hardest skills that I'm working on, because I never you don't feel productive when you're sitting there not thinking about anything. So I really have a habit of sitting there, and instead of kind of sitting there and just focusing on breathing, or maybe doing like a quick mindful meditation of just checking in with your body. Be like, okay, what are three things that I can look at right now? What are three or like two things I can hear? Um, or what is something that I can touch, right? If you can connect with your senses, then it's a great way to ground yourself, and you can make it a really quick thing, like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when I'm trying to do that, my mind thinks about like, oh shoot, what are we gonna do for dinner? Okay, did I eat? Did the kids eat? What are we gonna do this weekend? Oh, is that party coming up? Oh yeah, right. My mom wanted to do this, but if I do, and then there you go. There goes your 5 minutes. That should have been to you just being just present in that silence and being okay in that silence. And
Right.
so that's probably, I would say, um, a great step would be to first write out your schedule and everything you have to do within a day and how long it takes and when things and what's like set in stone, like school starts at 7:30, they have to get picked up at 2, work starts at like 9 or whatever, and you you will be surprised when you find time for yourself. And
Yeah.
sometimes it might mean that you wake up a little bit earlier, but then that means you're not rushing in the morning, because
Right.
sometimes I'm very guilty of this. I love sleep a lot. Like I desperately love sleep so much, and I would always choose sleep over anything else. But I realized on days where I would sleep in to the point where we'd all be late is we'd all be late. We would rush and I'd be frustrated because the kids aren't ready and I have to brush their teeth and I have to do this and all of that stuff. And but that was my fault, right?
Hmm.
Because if I had woken up maybe 30 minutes beforehand, the kids would have still been asleep. I would have had time to get myself ready, um, taking those extra minutes to just be with me, whether it's to exercise, to take a walk, to just sit down, maybe even read a book, listen to, guided self care meditations.
Hmm.
And that's kind of, it makes you set up the day better because you don't start the day so frantic and so you end up rushing everyone and everyone's just like, oh. And
Yeah.
and you also don't want that to become a habit
Yeah.
with, when you have young kids, is to like they get stuck in that survival mode of like, oh no, I don't, like, we have to go here, and then they end up creating that I don't know what it is, but that habit of like, I have to be moving. I'm always in a rush. We're never early for anything, and so then it's like it's a little too much. You want them to, like, kids need to be kids, and being part of, like, the job for a kid is just to like be, and we need to like really focus on like them just being, even though them being is like them like crawling on the floor saying that they don't want to brush their teeth, but then you're like, okay, I love you so much, please brush your teeth though, but it you would lose, like, I would lose that patience if I didn't wake up early.
Yes. So, Krystle, I want to add here with the getting up and being frantic in the morning. One major thing that women can do or people can do is to go to bed early the night
Right.
before. I used to laugh at women who, when I was in my 20s, they would say, "Oh, I'm in bed by 9 o'clock." Because
Right.
I'm one of those people now. My
Yep.
bedtime is 9:30 p.m. and I'm proud
Right.
of it. But because I've made that my bedtime, I'm able to get up in the morning and I'm not feeling frantic, and I have that time to move slowly. And I really appreciate it. I have the time to open up my calendar. I have a book that I open up and I set my intentions for the day, and I write out what I'm grateful for, because these are prompts in this particular book that I bought.
Right.
And it asks me, what are you going to let go of today? And what are some inspiring words for the day? So I really look forward to doing that to get my day started. It's just really calm. And I have 4 kids,
Yeah.
and most people that I know that have, a lot of kids, their morning doesn't flow like that. But
Right.
this is where
Right.
I want to tell women, this is where you and I come in. The
Right.
coaching piece, because we are instrumental to that transformational change for women, because we're stuck in certain habits that we've been operating on, this survival mode that we've been in
Mhm.
for years. And it takes a coach to come in and help women change those habits. It's not just, unfortunately, it's not just you and I sharing in this space that's going to bring about that long-term change.
Right.
But women need to make that move to reach out to a coach and go through sessions where we've been trained to walk you through different exercises and go deep into your mind to help you change those habits over a period of time, like
Right.
a program or a 90-day program, depending on your need and how ingrained these habits are. So I will share my information, and then Krystle, if you could share your information, because I had someone that I was speaking to who is a personal contact, and she brought up the fact that she needed a coach. She didn't know that I was a coach because she's more of an associate. But I thought about it. I said, I could refer her to you, Krystle,
Oh
because
my God.
yeah, because it's just kind of like our relationship is so that it would be better for someone else, to be able to engage with her. So, but
Right.
anyway, for everyone who's listening, you can find me I have a website. It is M as in Mary, B as in boy, S as in Sam, womenscoaching.com. And in that website, you can actually sign up for a free session with me where we can just talk about your needs and map out a plan and get started. Also, let's see, another way to reach me, I'm on Instagram, Mind, Body, Spirit, Women's Coaching and Healing Retreat, and also on YouTube. I post these videos of Krystle and I on YouTube, and also the podcast From Frantic to Free. You can look at those videos there. And Krystle, you more so specialize in helping women and especially those moms. And I really feel like the best person to help you with that in that mom space is someone who's going through it in the moment.
Right.
And you're every day like putting together ways to make it better. Like you talked about your calendar and different things that you're doing to make life better as a mom. So Krystle, if you could share your information, how do we get in touch with you?
Oh, so I have Instagram. It's Living Life Krystle Clear. Krystle is spelled Krystle. So you can find me on Instagram. And then I also have a website, which is www.livinglifekrystleclear.com, with Krystle being spelled Krystle. I also have guided meditation practices on my podcast, Transforming Habits, A Journey of Mind and Body. The episodes are called Mindful Moments. You can look it up through my name or Transforming Habits. So my name is Krystle Perez, Krystle, and you can find me there or anywhere.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Krystle, I know you got somewhere to be, but I think we have a few more
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to talk about, I know this is not a problem that just I have had, but being in a space where you are afraid to invest in yourself, I think this is a good topic to explore, because I think a lot of women struggle with that. And that could be something that is a barrier to them reaching out to someone like you and I who have the answers that could get them to that next level and, get them going at full speed toward where they
Right.
want to be. What are some thoughts that you have like in that space on investing in yourself?
Oh gosh, I've been here. It was really like 2020, yeah, 2020 where I realized that, because of like COVID-19, I really needed to invest in myself because it was such a stressful time. It was so overwhelming. We were all in lockdown and it was really, it was hard. It was really hard. And so everyone knows you don't have to hit rock bottom to like ask for help. Some people do. Some people need to hit rock bottom where they're just like, I don't want to live like this anymore. Like there has to be a better way. And yes, you can find ways online, but like online, no one's going to hold you accountable. A
Mhm.
coach is going to hold you accountable. A coach is going to check in every week during sessions and say, okay, so like what did we do this week? Like how did those action steps that we talked about last session, how did they go for you? Because you can BS as much as you want online, and you can have an online coach, and um, or like not necessarily an online coach, but you can go to chat rooms, be part of online communities, and some people do great through that. But like there's other people who need somebody to, yeah, just to kind of kick them in gear, and to really hold them accountable. Sometimes people really need to be held accountable. But I would say investing in ourselves is probably one of the best things we need to normalize. Investing in ourselves,
Mhm.
investing in taking the time to be present with ourselves, because we're running around all the time. Women just run around. We run around and we're doing a million things at once. Whether you're a mom, whether you're not a mom, we have we want to be productive because we grew up thinking if we're not doing anything, we're not being productive. But taking care of yourself is productive. Taking care of yourself now helps you helps you so much in the long run. And we need to think about that, because quick fixes are are only good for the now. But we really need to start building those habits, those transformational habits that allow you to that helps you in the long run. So like mindfulness stuff, finding that moment to like you journaling in the mornings is such a great way to start your morning. And like you said, you invested in that book. You bought that book that has journal prompts every morning, and that calms you and grounds you every single morning. And that's a
Right.
great habit to have. And if you didn't have that, if you didn't go to sleep early, if you didn't wake up early, then you'd be running around, you'd be frantic running around, because you're not your habits aren't serving you. And I think we need to let go of some of that pride that we can do it all by ourselves, we don't need help. It's okay to ask for help,
Mhm.
and it's okay to be in a community where people are sharing your struggles with you, and it's okay to be open and vulnerable with other people, and tell you that you're not alone. Because a lot of us suffer in silence, and then we think no one's going through the same thing I'm going through, or you don't think that your struggles are as good as somebody else's struggles, but they're your struggles. Just because your struggles don't match up with Debbie down the street doesn't mean that your struggles don't mean anything.
Right.
So you have to invest in yourself so you can be the best version be the best version of yourself for you, and then if you have kids, to be the best version of for your kids, because your kids are looking to you to figure out, like, how am I supposed to be in this world? And then they're like, if they see you taking care of yourself and you know um not running around so frantically, then they understand that the world isn't frantic.
Right.
It can be a calming place, and that um there's order in this, and it doesn't have to be chaotic, and no one keeps like we're not just pushing these kids like to every single activity, but we're you know there's organization in that. We go to school because school is where we learn, and then if they want to do after school stuff, they do after school stuff. But we don't have to like rush through everything and feel like there's never time for anything, because the kid growing up with the idea that they have to rush through everything it's unfortunate,
Yeah.
because they don't get to pause and be just quiet with themselves, and then they have to find themselves when they're older and realize, like, oh, so self-care looks like this.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So we're helping women go from frantic to free. Right.
Right. Love that. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Krystle, like I said, I know you have to go, but I'm going to add this one last
Hmm.
thing. When you talked about the emotional eating and how once the kids got into bed at night, that's your party time. And you would
Right.
take advantage of that time by eating, which was not serving you well. So you
Right.
started replacing it with being mindful, doing those kind of things. That made me think about when we talk about women investing in themselves, it's not, oh, let me go and run out to this concert or go out drinking with my friends. That's not the kind of those things are not really serving you for what you need to get to that next step. We're Krystle and I are talking about investing in a good coaching program or investing in the book, like I talked about my journal book,
Right.
those kind of things that are going to help you feel more grounded in life and get control
Right.
of your time and organization and those things. So I wanted
Yeah.
to clarify that. Yeah.
Yeah. And very much kind of like, because yes, going out and doing fun things for yourself and with your friends, that, that fills your cup, right? But right, like what Sam's saying is we're looking for us to look inward, um, than external, which is fine. You can being external is fine, but inward is where the real work happens. And that's where we start having transformational changes, is when we change small habits that you've had, since like for a really long time that you grew up with. Some of these habits are like ingrained and they're the default settings. But me and Sam come in to help you realize that first is that you're safe, and changing is really hard. And I think that's the thing too, is that people find out that when they're in the middle of this transformational change, their body is most likely trying to reject it, because your body wants to do what's the easiest thing, and where like the mind doesn't want to have to work so hard. I'm sorry, but like the if your mind doesn't have to work so hard, it's going to pick that. But to be conscious and mindful of how you eat, how you live everyday life, that's going to have your mind has to put work in it, because your mind has to stop. Your mind has to stop and say, okay, well, instead of having your little mini party, let's go to sleep. We all know you're tired, and then I'm like, that's true. I am very tired. And I was tired because I woke up at 5 a.m., and it causes like these bad cycles. You go to sleep late, you wake up late, but when you get down to it, you're like, oh yeah, I use that time to like be with myself. But you can find like a 10-minute thing that is really what you really needed, which is really just 10 minutes by yourself. A guided meditation, journaling, meditating, reading a book, just in that silence. And then instead of it being like 4 hours, it's a 10-minute self-care routine. And you're like, okay, I can go to sleep. I've connected with myself and I feel good about that. I didn't eat anything. I wasn't up late scrolling through whatever social media that really isn't beneficial. Sometimes, so, social media can be very beneficial and social media can be like very not beneficial. And so scrolling through that sometimes late at night is just you're just mindlessly doing that. But if you take 5 to 10 minutes to consciously put time towards yourself and your mindfulness and your self-care, you don't need those 4 hours. You realize, I'm going to go to sleep, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do my journal prompt, I might do yoga, I might meditate, but I'm going to start that morning early, and I'm going to have time to set up my breakfast. I'm going to set up to sit down with my kids for breakfast. You'll
Right.
find out like you can create more transformational habits the more you look inward. And that's the investment that women need to do, if they're not doing it already, is to invest in themselves. With you just we're worth it. We're worth it. We do enough, and we are worth, we're just worth everything,
Mhm.
and we should try to invest in ourselves.
Excellent. Well, I love it. I always love talking to you,
I
Krystle.
know.
Oh my gosh. So, yes, we will get this video posted for women so they can watch it repeatedly. Um,
Yes.
Again, I'll give you my web address and then Krystle, you can give yours. Mine is M as in Mary, B as in boy, S as in Sam, womenscoaching.com. You can go there and set up a free consultation for transformational coaching. Krystle?
Okay, so mine is livinglifecrystalclear.com. Krystle spelled Krystle. That's my website. And then I'm also the same name for my Instagram too. But yeah, it would be lovely to connect.
Absolutely. Well, have a wonderful day, Krystle.
Oh my God, you too. Yeah, we
Okay,
should do this a lot.
excellent. We will.
All
Talk
right.
to you soon, Krystle.
Okay, bye.
Bye.